Jack Miller was the founder and longtime CEO of the Quill Corporation, a highly successful mail-order office supply company. After selling Quill to Staples in 1998, Mr. Miller turned his attention to a variety of philanthropic projects. In 2004, he began his efforts to reinvigorate education in America's founding principles and history on college campuses. Mr. Miller made it his mission to help professors who want to do more to help young people learn about the principles upon which our nation was founded. After several successful pilot projects, Mr. Miller established the Jack Miller Center for Teaching America's Founding Principles and History in 2007. In an interview with JMC Vice President Mike Deshaies, Mr. Miller shares his thoughts on what has been accomplished and why he is so passionate about this education.
Jack, the classic liberal arts have come under fire in recent years because a lot of people say they just don't prepare students for the workforce. As a successful businessman who now has immersed himself in this study about America's founding principles and history, what would you say to those who criticize the classic liberal arts?
To eliminate the liberal arts, I think, is a terrible mistake, because I think people have to understand the world in which we live and the ideas that drive that world. And so, for example, studying the founding principles really talks about what this country is about and how a free people should live and exist, and what makes them free and what keeps them free. And quite frankly, I think that is going to take people not only studying our principles, but studying what led up to our principles. So in many ways, I think that even if they're studying business, engineering, science, whatever it is, they ought to have a fairly decent amount of liberal arts so that it helps them understand what kind of a world we should live in if we want to be free people.
Some people say that you are a great example of how this reinvigorated education in America's founding principles can actually change a person. Describe your personal growth over the years as you study America's founding principles and history. How has that changed you?
What the study has done is to help me understand the things that are really at the core of my belief, the core of my being. They've helped me understand the idea that the pursuit of happiness, well, that pursuit of happiness means the ability to improve your station in life. Jefferson put in the pursuit of happiness instead of John Locke's property, life, liberty, and property. So he thought it sounded better, pursuit of happiness, and people would understand at that time that that meant improving your station in life, property. So I began to understand what there was behind the thinking that I have had for many years. So I started trying to understand what this country was about. And I became very interested in the idea that this should be taught to young people. It should be taught in the grade schools, high schools, and certainly in college.
Jack, you've participated in all of our summer institutes going back over the past 10 years. And many of our nation's leading scholars have actually been teaching faculty at our programs. And these include people like Jim Caesar from Virginia, Michael Zuckert from Notre Dame, Gordon Wood, a historian from Brown University, Stephen Smith at Yale, Thomas Pangle from the University of Texas. Tell us what you've learned from your interactions with all these prominent scholars over the years.
They take their subject seriously, and they're devoted to it, and they devote their lives to studying these things and teaching them. But I find that they're really very sharp people, and I admire excellence in whatever field it is, whether it's business or whether it's education, medical, etc. And these people are at the top of the game, and they're very good. So I enjoy going to these conferences because I get to meet people like this. I get to meet the best in the field, Gordon Wood, who is one of the best historians in the country, Jim Caesar, who's developed a tremendous program at the University of Virginia, And I get to see them and not only realize their great potential, but also what really fine people they are. So I'm happy to see that our young postdocs and young future professors are exposed to people like this and are learning from the best in the country in their fields.
Jack, you've met just about all 500 of the young scholars who have been through our summer institutes over the years. What are your thoughts about these young scholars who share our mission?
Well, I've seen all kinds of people going through our summer institutes. And I've had the advantage of going to these programs for 10 years and seeing these people progress in their careers and go out into the workplace and become tenured professors and start programs on their campuses. And I've seen some of them take hold and actually change the whole atmosphere of their campus by what they're doing. I've also seen that so many of them, after the program is through, when we have the dinner at the end, they come up to me, they thank me, and they tell me how wonderful this is because they felt isolated on their campus and suddenly they have 25 other people that they could call. When they have a problem, when they have a question, they just feel so reinvigorated and so good that they have this camaraderie. And of course, we've expanded on that by making sure that they all stay together and interconnected, not only with the group they went with, studied with, but with the other groups and other people that went through the programs at different times. So it's been a tremendous experience, and I've learned a lot. So I think they're fabulous.
Diversity of gender and race are major issues on college campuses today. But what are your thoughts, Jack, about diversity of thought on college campuses?
I think that diversity of thought is critical. But I think that the problem that's going on campus today is that there is a lack of diversity of thought. Speech codes and things like that are crippling the discourse that's going on campus. And I think that's a crime. I think we should hear all of the different ideas, put that forth, and let the battle of ideas take place on campus, which is what universities are supposed to be doing.
The Jack Miller Center has experienced remarkable growth in the past 10 years. In your view, what's been the key to our growth?
I think there are several keys to the growth. First and foremost is the organization that we put together. Under Mike Ratliff's leadership, this has been a phenomenal place. And the energy and the drive and the focus, which is critical, has been phenomenal. We stick exactly with what we are doing. We want to teach the founding principles in American history, and we want to do it well in a nonpartisan, non-political way, and we stick with that. So I think that's one driving force. Another driving force, quite frankly, is that I think people in this country are concerned with what's going on college campuses. They're concerned that our young people who did not grow up in a time of great patriotism, as I experienced, that they are not so focused on America and the greatness of America and what made America great. I think also that it's just that the students themselves are tired of not hearing a diversity of opinion and not hearing about America and how good it is and just hearing criticisms of America. So I think there's a number of things driving it. It happens to be the right time in our history when people are beginning to yearn for more freedom, more personal freedom. So there are a lot of things that we're doing right, and people who want to see change are believing that we are the ones who possibly can make it happen.
Jack, it was your idea to get a scholarly journal published on American political thought. What was your motivation behind that?
Well, we were at an event, and it was a mixed group. It was the professors, the postdocs, people from the Miller Center, myself. And the comments that we were getting from some of the young professors was that it's very difficult for them to get published. And it's critical that they get published because that happens to be a measure that's used in order to get advancement, in order to get onto a tenure track. So they were saying that these other journals that are out there don't want to publish articles about the American founding, about America's greatness, etc. They were sort of publishing articles in the other direction. So on the spur of the moment, which is the way I do a lot of things, on the spur of the moment I said, well, why don't we publish our own journal? I mean, you know, it just seemed natural to me that if the others don't want to publish you, start your own journal.
Jack, you frequently refer to a famous quote from Benjamin Franklin, where when he was asked at the close of the Constitutional Convention, well, doctor, what have you given us, a republic or a monarchy? And Franklin replies, a republic if you can keep it. Why does this particular quote resonate with you?
It resonates with me because I see that in every walk of life, if people are not working hard to preserve something that's good, then it disappears. And it doesn't disappear just like bang, it's gone. It disappears piece by piece by piece. And you hardly notice the change. So we are on the verge of losing our republic. And unless we educate our young people, unless we educate our older people, our citizens, we are going to lose our republic. Not by war. No one's going to defeat us by war. If we're going to be defeated, it'll be from within. And it's critical that our young people get educated in what this country's about.